We want to show how much you've grown as a writer. You were telling a lot of your stories through pictures, right?
Yeah. This is my story from October. Oh, it looks like it has any words.
But that's what's amazing, because now look what you write. Look at that.
This is my story from March.
Awesome. I feel really excited for my students when I see, how confident they are, and when they come over and say, look at the book I read, or look what I just wrote. The impact of early literacy, I feel it really takes children who are needing a little bit of a push in their reading and writing development, and it gives them that extra layer of support that they can't have within the classroom guided reading structure. In my classroom, when I work with my guided reading groups, I might see them once, maybe twice a week, whereas with early literacy, she sees them every day.
So early literacy support is a support for students in grade 1 and grade 2 in English and French immersion. We're building on what's beginning to happen from primary, but students at this point when we're selecting them are starting to maybe not be as successful. So the classroom teacher helps us identify those students. Our assessments really zone in on what they need, and we really help them catch up before they start to fall behind.
Lessons in early literacy support are primarily in the classroom. It's an in-class intervention. I support my students by really designing lessons that fit their individual needs. So I take time to look at what students already know and what knowledge and skills they possess, and really kind of harness their knowledge to make links into new learning.
I feel excited because it's kind of a smaller group and they kind of listen to me good.
So there's really 4 key components to an early literacy lesson. The students usually start off by reading their familiar books. And by reading their familiar books, they get an opportunity to really consolidate their learning, listen to how their reading sounds, and really build independence and confidence. And then after the first 10 minutes of an early literacy lesson, we go into writing. And it's really writing about their reading. First, students get to see the connection that what they see in reading, they can apply in their writing. Also, it deepens their comprehension of what they just read. After writing about reading, we move into word work. The goal of word work is to have students breaking words apart, putting them back together, and word solving quickly when they get to their books. So we generally use magnetic letters. Sometimes we use sand, sometimes we use whiteboards and markers. We usually end an early literacy lesson with guided reading. Me introducing a new book to the students, and it's usually a book that kind of connects with their interests, or they're familiar with the characters already, and they can read the book on their own with guidance from me. So I kind of guide them through reading a text that might be a little more complex for them.
A key component of early literacy support is the collaboration that we have between the classroom teacher, the early literacy support teacher, the parents, even the student themselves.
There's often moments where I'm able to step over and have a look at what they're working on, or she can show me how she's supporting them with a certain strategy in their reading or writing, so that I know when I'm conferencing with that student next, I can use those same strategies to make sure that the message is consistent. So collaboration really helps to move the students forward in their learning, because we all know the students really well. So if I'm talking with the classroom teacher and I'm in there and seeing what she's doing in lessons, I can apply that in my lessons. If she's noticing something students are doing, then I can target that in my lessons as well. And I'm noticing specifically with this group of children that Ms. Compton's working with, they are now some of my stronger writers. When it's time to sit and write, they are confident and they're taking risks in their writing. I think if anything, it gives them the confidence in the building blocks so that they can continue to move themselves forward.
My favorite thing to do is writing. I'm good at stretching out my words and figuring out what kind of word it is.
It's authentic because students are reading real stories, they're writing real stories, they're talking about their learning with their peers, sharing, deepening their understanding, expanding that literacy system so that when they go back to work independently in the classroom, they're able to actively problem solve on their own.
And really, I think that's the impact of early literacy support, is fostering that independence with kids. You know, when you contact a parent to touch base and say, I just wanted to tell you about your child's progress, and they say, oh my gosh, they're picking up books now, they're reading, they want to write down a grocery list, they want to have a journal or a writer's notebook.
And I have also noticed that he is trying to use different strategies when reading. Whereas before he would just give up, and now he's trying.
Yeah, now he has much more patience.
Yes.
You know, to kind of keep trying and move on. You know,
Yeah.
and
He's reading now full sentences, where before he would just like read word by word.
It's really important to keep parents in the loop, because if parents feel like they're part of their students' success and students' achievement, they'll take on that important work at home.
since we got like first feedback from them, the teacher, we decided, actually we figured it's time to you know, become more active. You know, even before that we used to read with him like every night, you know, more or less. But then we became more kind of diligent, getting books from library and just trying more than before, kind of in addition to their support.
It's really a special opportunity and a special position to be in, to work with the same students every day in such an intense way, and you really get to see them make those connections and make those links, and it really moves them along. I love it.
I think because early literacy support is so responsive, it's really in the moment teaching. A teacher will observe a student do something, and then they can react immediately and reinforce something that's going well, so that the student knows they're what's working and can continue to do.
You can't describe how a child's face lights up when they finally get things. It's such a beautiful thing, and ELS does that.
My name is Katie and I'm a reader.